I'm Joel Rothstein from Arlington Public News. I'm here with Officer Urquhart. We're going to ride in your car, in your police car, and get a feel for what's going on.
Welcome. Today we are outside the Arlington Police Department here with Officer Scarborough, who's going to be taking us on a ride along.
Over the next few hours, we'll do a ride along where we'll be assigned to a traffic patrol car, kind of a utility vehicle. You're not assigned to a certain neighborhood, so we'll get to go around all of Arlington. We'll go back up some other units on calls, see how the night progresses, and see what we can get you guys on film, give you an idea what we do on a daily basis.
This is just like an extra cruiser for us. It has no cage in it, no weapons, nothing. It's just pretty much like a traffic car. We use it just to pull cars over.
So basically when we come out, there's a few certain things we check. One of the first is in our trunk here. There's no specialized weapon or anything in this vehicle, but we have a general equipment utility bin here. All vehicles are equipped with something like this. We have a fire extinguisher, the rescue disc, which is the orange disc. That would be for water rescues, anything like that. You got a gas mask, riot helmet. In that red container is some road flares, in case you need those at a traffic scene.
Every cruiser has a first aid kit, so we just want to make sure everything's in there that we need. Because sometimes when we go to medicals, we're the first on scene, not the firefighters. Usually they are, but sometimes they're not, so it's always good to make sure we have what we need until they get there. We always want to make sure we have all the proper paperwork that we need. So when we go on domestics and stuff like that, we have to have them sign certain papers. So we just always want to make sure we have them, because it's kind of tough if you don't, and you have to call for another cruiser to come bring those papers. So it just saves time to have them all in the cruiser. This is my cruiser bag. Every police officer has one. Mainly what's in it is I have a map of Arlington. We know the streets pretty well, but sometimes if there's a little side street we haven't heard of, a map is usually good. Some guys use GPSs, kind of old school, I like it paper. Can't always count on technology. I have water, some snacks, my ticket book, a phone charger, a flashlight, anything that I would need extra that I don't want to carry, I just put in here.
One of the other things we do is just check the outside, make sure all the tires and everything are good to go. In terms of inside, let me just check the lights here. You got the overhead light bar. You got the front flashes, the rear flashers, the side flashing. We want to make sure those are working, make sure when we get out onto the streets they're working. Up here you have your crash bar. You got your two strobes there, as well as the strobes in the headlights. You want to make sure all those are working. Here's your siren speaker. We'll test that before we get out there, just make sure the siren's working for us.
So what's around my belt is I have my handcuffs here. It's kind of hard to open. Handcuffs. Then we have our pepper spray. I have extra magazines for my weapon, which is a .45 Glock. I have my radio. Then I have my baton. We just got these are new. Every cruiser has a different assault weapon in it. Most of them have rifles located in the middle. So this is the assault rifle that we have in most of the cruisers. It's locked in, and there's a special way that we can get it out that only we know, just for safety issues. So no one can just come into the cruiser if it's unlocked or we're not in it or away from it. Not everyone can access that, because that would be dangerous. This is our rifle. When they're in the cruisers, they're not loaded. They're called cruiser ready. So it means that they're ready to go. All you have to do is lock it, and it shoots a bullet into it. This is where the magazine goes in. So if you hit that button, it comes out, so you can see. And you can see here, in that hole down there, there's no bullet in it. So that means that it's safe. So you just hit that in. You just want to make sure there's no bullet in it. There's not, so it's good to go. The safety's on, so this says safe and this says fire. If it's on safe, the weapon won't shoot. So you always have to remember to flick that to fire.
In here we have, right below the panel you had here is your radio. We'll do a quick radio check to make sure got everything going. We are in Cruiser 1067, so it's the utility vehicle. We're also known as traffic unit. We can call in either name. Traffic control and a radio check.
Traffic, you're loud and clear.
You heard that? Dispatch comes back, traffic loud and clear. Roger, thank you.
These are our lights, so if we wanted to go lights and sirens, I would flick this all the way to 3. And then if I needed to use the siren, I'd do it that way, or you can...
This gives us access, online access to some of the computer systems we use. This is something we should make sure every time we're in the cruiser we have up. One of the ones here we have, it's called Acuity CAD, Dispatch Anywhere. This is our computer-aided dispatch. Once we sign on here, as you can see, everyone that's working here tonight is on here. I am ERCOT, we're in the 1067 vehicle on patrol. You can see who's assigned to Sector 1, 351 corresponds to Sector 1, 352 is Sector 2. These are all the cruiser number and IDs. The dispatchers inside, anytime they send you on a call, they enter all the information. It will pop up here on a screen. You see Sector 4, Officer Chella. He's on location at a well-being check at Menominee Rocks Park. This is called CJIS, Department of Criminal Justice Information Services. CJIS is the system that we use to run motor vehicle plates, run individuals, anything like that. We can run people by their license number, we can run motor vehicle plates, we can run people by their last name and date of birth. Anything like that. It will tell us status of their license, status of the vehicle, if they have any warrants, their BOP, which is any past arrests, anything like that. So you get a pretty good idea of before you go in dealing with someone, what you're looking at and some certain things to look for. Each neighborhood will have one cruiser assigned to it. You're responsible for all calls for service inside of that neighborhood sector, medical calls, past calls, identity theft, anything like that, domestics, anything where someone calls 911 for service. And you're also out there doing proactive patrols, keeping an eye on the neighborhood, trying to prevent any crime that may happen, as well as traffic.
We've asked the town, what are the high areas that you see like a lot of traffic violations, and we take the community's input and then we go out and, a lot of people will say, this location I see a lot of speeding cars or a lot of people don't obey the traffic lights. So we'll sit there and we'll hang out and just see, and we'll observe it and see what we can do to just help, better the situation.
Me personally, I like to go out right out of roll call, and I like to drive around as much of my neighborhood as possible. Hit as many of the side streets as I can, go through some of the busier areas, see, especially on a nice day like this, people are out and about, get an idea of the neighborhood. You bounce around so much, just even driving around at the beginning of the shift, you see the street signs, you get an idea of the neighborhood that you're covering that night. A lot of times after that, I'll spend a couple hours doing some traffic enforcement, whether it be, Mass Ave or another road.
My favorite part about this job mostly is just being able to, I know this sounds so corny and it's like such a typical political way of saying it, but I really do like helping people. And sometimes when we help them, they don't see it right away until later. A lot of people that call the police, they're looking for you to solve the problem. And sometimes the way we solve the problem might not be the way they wanted it. But in the end, like, a lot of people will trash on you all day. They'll say, mind your own business. Why are you here? I don't want you here. You're just gonna make it worse. But really, we really are just trying to help people and make sure everybody's safe. So when people actually come up to you and they say thank you, it means so much more than you think, because all day long people are telling us, how much they don't appreciate us. So when you get that one person that says, like, I just really want to thank you for your service, we might just be like, oh, okay, thank you. But when we reflect on it, it really does mean so much.
I would say my favorite part is just patrol. Getting out there, obviously it's tough in the winter, and but on a day like today, my favorite part is just getting out there, having the windows down, driving through the neighborhood, and seeing what you can find that way.
I always go in level. I always talk to everyone like I would talk to my mother. I always try and, I treat people with respect, and you'd be surprised, especially with a lot of the juveniles that act out a lot. They're so used to people treating them like children and not talking to them and not listening to them. So if you go into a situation where there's a juvenile, I always like to talk to them like I would any other adult. And they respect that, and they're very receptive towards you, because they're so used to being talked down to and being treated like, not like an adult. So when you treat them like that, they're like, oh, okay, and they're very receptive.
My objective is to always de-escalate. I like to think I'm a pretty persuasive talker. I'll sit there and I'll talk to you. I'll explain my side. We have, everyone has their strong suit. Every officer has their strong suit and what they bring to the table. I like to think I can talk to just about anyone. I've been successful in my career, de-escalating situations, just verbally, stuff like that. I mean, obviously we get training. In the academy, you go through, I know we went through a class called verbal judo, which is strictly all about de-escalation. There's a lot of key words you don't want to use, a lot of, agitating words you don't want to use. Sometimes I'll try to change the situation a little bit, develop some type of rapport with the person. Stuff along those lines, like I said, every officer has their strong suits. The longer you've been on, I think the easier it is. You learn what works, you learn what doesn't work.
Working at the Walgreens, 324 Mass Ave, per shoplifter, reported taking 3 beverages out of the store, was walking on foot towards the center. See a black male wearing a white t-shirt, has a plastic bag with him, should have 3 beverages with him.
So we're looking for a male.
Can you say the description one more time?
Here, she'll say it.
See a black male with a white t-shirt, should have a plastic bag with him. Our case is he has a large afro.
A large afro. So we gotta look around for a black male with an afro. 1067 is gonna be out with Sector 1 at the Arlington Legion.
Right. Students go down to...
We had gotten a call for a shoplifter. They gave out the description. We saw the suspect walking. When Officer Hogan went to go talk to him, he started to run. He was resisting. So that's when we, had to hold him on the ground tight. We had to make sure that he wasn't trying to reach for anything like a weapon or anything like that. So he could have had a weapon on him, he could have had a gun. You just always have to assume the worst, that way you can handle the situation. We take that as, if you're not complying and you're resisting arrest, the first thing on our mind is to cuff you so you can't reach for anything to try and hurt us. He wasn't giving us his hands and he was resisting more and more. So that's when we had to really just roll him over and force his hands behind his back. Once we got him cuffed and we sat him up, he was very compliant. You know, he didn't admit to any of it, but he felt like, you know, he just said he was scared and that's why he ran, which is usually common with juveniles because they don't have the best perception of us, so he probably did get very scared when Officer Hogan asked him to come talk to him. So that's why he ran. Unfortunately, he's being arrested for shoplifting. If that went a little differently, he might not have been arrested. He might have just been summoned. If he was very compliant and, you know, listened to us and everything like that, we would have just summoned him. But because he resisted, they're going to arrest him. So they're bringing him down to be booked now. I'm going to go inside and I'm just going to talk to the manager, see if we can get a receipt for the stuff that he stole and just get a statement so it's all as evidence. This is very typical for Walgreens. They do get a lot of shoplifters. Okay, so what happened?
I just saw him putting him in his jacket 901 and followed him out.
So you didn't see it on the camera,
Yeah.
you saw it physically?
I saw it on camera and
Camera?
Yeah.
So you just saw him stuck it in his
He stuck it in his
backpack?
yeah.
Okay, and then he just walked out?
He just walked out.
Did the things go off at all?
No, they don't have the codes on the
Oh, they don't? Okay.
You can't have the codes on the waters.
Did you say anything to him?
I didn't have time. He was already up there.
Okay.
So I just stayed far enough back.
Okay. And what did, he just took drinks?
Yeah, this is 3 drinks. This is like $6.
Okay. All right, good enough. All right, take care. Thank you. 1067 to control. All right, I got all the information. I'll be coming in to pass that along to Sector 1. That's the receipt. He said he saw him on camera put a few drinks in his backpack. Then he saw him actually physically do it when he went out there. So like in that situation, you know, to a typical bystander, it kind of looks like, you know, there's 3 cops over this kid, you know, that's excessive. Why are there so many police officers? But it really is just officer safety. You're not there, you can't hear the interaction we're having with a suspect, so we just want to make sure we go home safe and we go home alive. So if somebody's resisting, you know, it is necessary to have 3 officers there, but, you know, to the typical bystander, it might look excessive, but you got to be in the situation to kind of understand it, because we don't know what's going to happen. So we just want to make sure the suspect's safe and we're safe.
I was born and raised in Arlington. I grew up in Arlington. My family still lives in Arlington. I recently moved 2 years ago. I moved out of Arlington, but I like to say that I know about probably 90% of the streets in Arlington.
If you get to know your area good, you can get to places faster. People in the community that live in this area get to know you. So say somebody broke into somebody's house and I know them because I've seen them around a lot and I build a rapport with them. They might be more apt to, give me information because they're familiar with me. So it's always good to get to know your area that you work in the most and the people that live in it. It's not bad if you go into a couple of businesses and get to know the business owners because, they always have cameras hooked up to their stores and the more they get to know you, the more they want to help you. So it's always good to build a good community policing rapport with everybody.
I never saw myself growing up working a desk job. Not that they don't tell you about policing, but policing is a lot of police work. And I probably spend more time behind a desk writing reports and stuff like that than actually in the cruiser.
I would say 90% of our job is paperwork. When you're a new officer and you come on, you think, you're going to be lights and sirens all day and jumping from call to call, but most of it is reports, paperwork.
You write a report for every, any incident you go on, anything like that, past crimes that happen, arrests. We write reports for everything. Sometimes, driving around gets old, or, the eyes get tired, but any time there is, you can find something to do. A lot of, nothing, the radio's quiet and stuff like that, there's no calls coming in or anything. That's when, maybe I'll, take the radar gun out and go run radar for an hour and, you know, get 4 or 5 motor vehicle stops. You know, you make it. You know, there's plenty of stuff to do, and, you know, this department's good like that. You know, the lieutenants and the sergeants, they kind of let you do your own thing.
So in order to pull a car over, I don't actually technically need to have this because we're trained like officers. What happens is if I just observe you and I think you're speeding, that gives me the right to pull you over. I don't necessarily have to have it on radar. But it's always good to have more elements just because it's just fair that way, I think. Yeah, the whole quota question is, that's all a lie. I mean, if you're an officer and you don't pull over cars and you never pull over cars, I mean, it's our job. It's our job to enforce motor vehicle law, and I guarantee you, everybody breaks one at least once or twice a day. So if you're not pulling cars over, then that's an issue. But that's really the only issue with that. There's no quota. No one tells you have to pull over this many cars by the end of the month. That's all myth. All right, so the car behind him is speeding. So this one. Okay. So I always like to stop enough so I can see the license plate. That's a very good distance. You'll notice when I go up to the car, you'll see me touch the back of the trunk. That's just a tactical way in case something happened to me or if the car sped off, my fingerprints are on the back. Hi, can I have your license and registration? Do you know why I pulled you over?
I don't.
You don't? Do you know the speed limit on this road?
No, I didn't see it specifically. I thought it was just following.
Okay. All right, so the speed limit on this road's 30.
Okay.
You were doing about 42.
Okay.
Okay? Yep, that's it. I'll take that. All right, just hang tight. I'll be right back. So, whenever I approach a vehicle, I like to not be right at the window. I like to be a little bit far back so it makes the driver, you know, have to uncomfortably turn their head. That way, if they had a gun or a knife, it would be harder to get me, or I could see it coming a lot faster. So I'm gonna call this in. 10-6-7 to control. Motor vehicle stop, Old Mystic at Mystic with Mass Reg. So that just lets them know. Thank you. We're good, thank you. So it's common courtesy whenever you see a police officer pull over a car, whether it's Winchester or one of us, we always like to ask them, you know, are you all set, are you good? It's just a common courtesy type of thing. I'm just gonna grab my ticket book. So I always like to ask the person, you know, do you know why I pulled you over? That way it gives you some dialogue, and if they admit it, then that's great. If later on, you know, they change their story or anything like that, if you give them a money fine, we have a little area on the back of the ticket that we can write down what they said and everything like that. You always want them to talk more, because then if it goes to court or anything like that, you have it on record that he admitted to doing it, and dispatch is gonna run all their stuff just to make sure he's not expired or anything like that. If anything crazy comes back, they'll let me know, and then I can handle it from there. But they haven't really answered me, so most likely everything's active. So right now I'm just writing out all the information that the ticket requires. He was very polite. He didn't give me a hard time. He put both hands up on the wheel, which is nice for us. He provided me with everything. He had it all ready. I didn't see anything crazy in the car. I looked in the back seat, everything in plain view. I didn't see anything criminal, so I'm just gonna give him a written warning. So after every line that I write, I always look up and I check my surroundings just for safety. Because you could be halfway through the ticket and then you look up and the car's gone. That's not good, you know. That's embarrassing. So I always like to look around. I had a call once where I pulled a car over and I looked up and I saw someone approaching my vehicle from behind, and it was made me a little nervous, so I told them to get back into their car. And at the end of it, when I spoke with that person, they just wanted directions. So, but you never know, you know what I mean? So what we do is with these tickets is, this is just a written warning. There's no fine or anything. He doesn't have to pay a fine. We give the first face of the copy to the person, and then the rest we bring back to the station and submit it. We just put it in a little box, and then the people that work upstairs enter into a computer and everything like that. All right, so I'm just giving you a written warning. There's no fine, nothing like that. You're not from the area, so you probably aren't familiar, but yep, just when in doubt, if you don't see a sign, it's always gonna be 30, okay?
All right, thank you.
All right, take care. Okay. He was very happy. It was just a warning.
We don't really have too many specialized positions in Arlington. We do have a drug inspector who deals with all our drug crimes. You know, we have our regular inspectors who follow up on your everyday crime and stuff like that. We have, you know, Rebecca Gallagher, who's the family services inspector. But, you know, outside of that, we don't really have like a SWAT team or anything like that. We're all regionalized. We're part of NEMLEC, which is Northeast Municipal Law Enforcement Council. That's a regional law enforcement council that we're part of with a bunch of cities and towns around here. They have a SWAT team, which we can, you know, guys from Arlington are able to try out for and get on if possible, if they make the cut. But, you know, the college education, you know, it gave you an idea of, you know, a lot of different avenues to go. You know, I had a lot of people I went to class with that took the criminal justice degree and, you know, went to the FBI or went to, you know, U.S. Marshal Service or went to corrections or went to social work or, you know, went to court diversion programs or court liaison programs. So not, you know, freshman year of college, not everyone that I went to college with is, you know, a police officer, you know, riding around in a patrol car doing patrol work. So, you know, it kind of gave me, but it also reaffirmed that, you know, doing the, you know, feet on the ground patrol work was something that I wanted to do.
You gotta trust in your training. I mean, in the beginning, it was very hard to decipher who was lying to you and who wasn't. You might go to a domestic and speak to one person first and totally 100% believe everything they're saying. And then you talk to the other person, you hear the other side of the story, and then you start to question, okay, maybe that first person wasn't telling me the truth. But after a while, after you get more and more experience, it's really not that hard to hear who's lying and who's not. The more experience you get, the better it is. You know, everyone's different, but the lying isn't that different.
I mean, the police academy takes you from, you know, the ground up. You know, I'd say maybe a quarter of the people in the police academy were criminal justice majors in college. You know, we had tow truck drivers, we had, you know, people fresh out of the military, Marines, Navy, you know, we had, you know, stay-at-home moms that, you know, just decided they wanted to be police officers and went through the interview process and passed the physical exams and everything like that. So the police academy basically takes you from, you know, the ground up. They teach you everything you need to know. It's a 6-month police academy, 26-week police academy. And they basically cover everything. The core of your education is criminal law, constitutional law, and motor vehicle law. That's that's Massachusetts specific, learning all your Chapter 90 laws, which is motor vehicle, learning all your constitutional laws, criminal laws, right of arrest, stuff like that, misdemeanor, felony. It also, everything that I'm certified in now as a police officer, it started at the police academy. We spent, 100 hours doing defensive tactics. We spent 40 hours doing firearms training. We spent, 40 hours doing like OUI stuff, breath test, portable, learning how, being certified, learning how to do OUI stops. We spent, we had specialty classes, like I said, that we had we had an 8-hour verbal judo class. We had domestic violence classes. We had dealing with mentally ill individuals. We had first aid, CPR classes to get certified and all that.
We just got a call for a Section 12 up at Jermaine Lawrence, which means that something mentally was wrong with this certain female, and the doctor is mandatorily making her go to the hospital. So she doesn't have a choice to refuse medical attention. She has to go and get evaluated. That's what a Section 12 is. They always call us because usually the girls fight. They don't want to go to the hospital. So that's what that call was. When we got up there, it was a girl that I've dealt with plenty of times. She's always been really receptive of me. She's always been very respectful, but and she was sitting down on a bench, and we were just waiting for the ambulance to come. And I was just talking to her like I would any other person, and then she saw a staff member that she didn't like and got up and chased after the staff member, trying to assault her. So what I had to do was I had to make sure that she didn't get to the staff member, so we actually had to tackle her to the ground, and then she got back up and was calm for a little bit, so we kind of backed off, and then she went off and tried to chase the staff member again. So there was a little bit of we had to contain her a little bit. We never cuffed her. At one point she did try to reach for my belt, which isn't good at all. That's a very bad sign. So I had to make sure that she wasn't going to do that again. So one officer had to hold her up against the tree just to make sure, because for some reason she kept coming after me. So then finally we calmed her down a little bit, and then she went into the ambulance and was fine. But yeah, that was a little crazy.
I respond to 18 Claremont Ave. We got a report about 10 girls on the road yelling and screaming at each other.
Traffic control will start up that way.
Roger, traffic.
This is a call for up at Jermaine Lawrence. It's a student, a girls' dormitory. They're a group home area. There's a report of about a dozen girls outside yelling, causing a disturbance in the streets. So we're gonna head up there. They send Sector 4 and Sector 6 up there. Jermaine Lawrence, I have a good rapport with a lot of the girls up there. A lot of times these calls just, you just want to calm down the situation, see what's agitating them, see what we can do, work with the counselors, if two girls are having an issue with each other, how we can get them separated. There's multiple dorms up here, so a situation like this is, this is more of a public disturbance type thing, a neighbor calling or something like that, or the staff members just looking for a little bit of help. So it's not, you don't have to go into these situations, expecting, a fight or anything like that on your hands. We're just gonna go up here and see if we can just lend any assistance to the sector cars.
6 to 4, what's your location?
Go behind 18 Claremont. There's a little, like a
like a courtyard area behind there.
They were actually already back inside by the time we got there. Yes, the staff themselves, they were able to deal with it. So it's behind all these dorms here is a little courtyard area. So that's where the girls were congregating and you know, being loud and yelling back and forth at each other. But you know, a lot of times, just them knowing the police are on their way or stuff, they'll find their way back into their dorms, and you know, hopefully nice quiet night for them.
We also have a button. So on this radio, if something happened, this button right here, I press it and it sends an alarm to the station. This one right here, the orange one. I have one also on my portable. So say, you know, something crazy happened and I wasn't able to talk or tell dispatch where I was, I can press that button and they know I'm in trouble and that I need help. So the search will be on for me if I didn't give out my location. And if I'm not, if I press that button and I don't answer, then they definitely know something's wrong. We'll press them by accident and everyone will freak out, and then you just tell the dispatch, you know, I did it by accident.
Basically what it was the other two officers, Officer Wilkins and Officer Chella, are going to remain on scene and just make sure that, you know, those young girls stay inside for the night, and you know, it's hopefully almost bedtime. You know, make sure everything remains calm up there. So they'll wait another, you know, 10-15 minutes, and then they'll probably be able to clear out of there.
So I think somebody pressed the button by accident, because you can hear it when they dispatch. So dispatch is calling. 2863 hit their button by accident.
Sorry, I just made a mistake and pressed the button. Sorry.
See?
Okay, you're all set, Willis?
Like, you can't make this stuff up. That never happens, and I just tell you about it and it happened. It's crazy.
Just give me 1 second here. We're gonna this vehicle had a red light in the right lane to turn right onto Mass Ave, and we had the left light to turn left going eastbound. They had the red light going to the right, so I'm gonna talk to them here. You see, we got the spotlight up there. You know, I like to get it in the rear view mirror. So I'll go speak with this operator, get license and registration, see what happened, and go from there. How you doing tonight?
Good. What did I do?
You had a red light
Okay.
coming off of Mystic Street onto Mass Ave.
Yes.
You had a no turn on red sign that was right next to you on the pole,
Sorry.
and a red light above.
Okay.
So, Grandview. Alrighty. How long you live in Arlington?
2003.
Okay, so a while now. How's your driver's history?
Awesome.
Awesome.
Actually,
Okay.
got a speeding ticket 2011.
Okay.
So hopefully that's.
Besides that, it's clean.
Oh, it's amazing.
Alrighty. Hold tight for me. I'm gonna run everything, make sure everything's active. I'll be right back with you. Spoke with him. You know, let him know about the red light. Saw the red light, didn't see the no turn on red sign. You know, a lot of times I'll ask people, I asked him how his driver history was. I can look that up, that's gonna be on the computer regardless, but a lot of times I like to ask just because it gives them a chance. Exactly, it will tell me right off the bat that, you know, if I ask, how's your driver's history? And you tell me, you know, oh, it's great, it's clean, never been pulled over. And then I come back here and I run your driver's history and see that, you know, you've been pulled over 6 times in the last 2 years. You know, I start wondering, you know, where we went wrong. You know, some people lie just because, you know, they think it will get them out of a ticket, and then I don't have the ability to see their driver's history. You know, other people just panic, but you know, it gives me, I use it as a little bit of a gauge. Yep. And he told me the last time he was pulled over was in 2011 for speeding, and that's true. He's been pulled over once in his life since 1996. For actually 1988. He's been pulled over once 4 years ago for speeding, so he was truthful. He told me exactly that. Basically, anytime we pull someone over, we have discretion. Basically, you have three outcomes from a motor vehicle stop. It can be a verbal warning, it can be a written warning, or it can be a citation, which is a money fine. You know, a lot of guys have different reasons for, you know, giving different things or how they go about it. It's all personal. You know, I don't speak to what anyone else does. You know, after talking with him, I'm gonna write up a citation, but we're gonna give it to him for a written warning. You know, he has a good driver's history. You know, if you watched him, he was, you know, it wasn't a blatant thing. It wasn't running a red light. It wasn't speeding up. You know, personally, I don't feel that, you know, anyone was in danger like that. He was truthful with me right off the bat. You know, said he didn't see the sign. He acknowledged he saw the red light, but you know, but what this does is at least given the written warning here, it logs the stop and it goes into our system. You know, it doesn't go on your driver's history. It you know, the RMV, it's not, you know, it doesn't go to insurance. It's not anything like that. It's not a surchargeable thing, but it does go into our computer system in Arlington. So that way, you know, if he gets pulled over and, you know, 2 months from now in Arlington for, you know, going right on red, you know, officers are able to look that up. You know, dispatch can alert you and say, hey, you know, you got a written warning 2 months ago. You know, we cut you a break then. You know, obviously you didn't learn your lesson at that point. Like I said, you know, it's 9:20 now. You know, we use the spotlight. You know, if this was 3 in the morning, I'd probably have another vehicle, you know, another cruiser just here looking out for me. You know, obviously I'm spending a lot of time looking at the computer, looking at my citation book, looking at the license registration. I like to hold the citation up high. You know, about every 5 or so seconds, I'm just glancing up to look inside the motor vehicle. You know, just make sure they're not moving, no one's getting out. You know, the last thing I want you to do is get out of the vehicle and, you know, start walking towards me or something like that. All right, well, yeah, license and registration for you.
Okay, great.
It's a written warning for the right on red.
Oh, cool. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, just keep that in mind. You know,
Sure.
every intersection back there,
Okay.
as well as majority intersections on Mass Ave.
So I should
If you're
do my
turning,
job, especially when I'm
there
living
is a no right on red sign somewhere, whether it's overhead, on the post, you know, across the street, or on a post right next to you there somewhere. So just keep an eye out for that.
So that, I have a question for you.
Yes.
Why does it take so long?
For what?
Out of curiosity, you know, you get pulled over. Out of curiosity.
Pulled over here.
No, in general, you know how it always takes a long time. Why does it take so long?
I run everything.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah. I run your plate and everything. I know who you are before I come up.
Okay.
I already know your driver's history long before I talk to you.
And then afterwards, then it's just writing.
Afterwards, it's just writing. Yeah, as you can see, there's a lot of information on there, but yeah, you know, everything.
curious.
Yeah, make sure the car's active, make sure the license is active, no warrants.
Okay.
You know, go through the whole thing.
Okay.
Like I said, I already know your driver's history before I ask you what your driver's history is.
Okay, cool.
Just to
I got you.
get an idea, but yeah, we try to speed it up, keep it under.
No, I was just curious.
Keep it, yeah. You know, we try, and then a lot of writing. So.
All right.
Alrighty.
Thank
Hey, take care. A lot of the time, people aren't happy to see you. You know, we always say, you know, the cops don't show up when, you know, everything's going great, and so, you know, it's one of, you know, we deal with a lot of stuff, and you know, there's stuff I have discretion in a lot of things. You know, luckily as police officers, and you know, and in this department as well, you know, we're granted the discretion. You know, the discretion to do what we feel we need to do to, you know, fix a situation or, you know, get the best outcome. With that being said, sometimes my hands are tied. You know, and there's certain situations where you know a domestic violence or something like that. You know, in Massachusetts, the laws are so strict in Massachusetts regarding domestic violence that my hands are tied. You know, we'll get a call from somebody saying, you know, they got in a fight with their husband or wife or something, and you know, we go there, and you know, they basically want us to, you know, just mediate the situation. You know, just so they're not fighting anymore. You know, separate them, whatnot. But with that being said, if during the course of my, you know, investigation, you tell me that, you know, your wife or husband or kid or roommate or something, you know, pushed you, I'm required by law to place that person under arrest. I have zero discretion when it comes to that. And, you know, a lot of times we have to, you know, we'll place, you know, the husband under arrest for pushing his wife. But then you have the wife saying, you know, I just called you to break up the fight. I don't want him arrested, you know, I don't want. And the next thing you know, you have the wife yelling at you, saying she doesn't want you here, get out of her house. You know, she regrets calling you, and, you know, you're forced to take the husband away, and she's telling you you just ruined their lives, and they're going to get divorced now because of it. And so it's tough. It's nice, you know, when people call you and they need you there, it's nice. But when they call you and then, or don't want you there, or somebody else calls you, then, you know, I'd say that's one of the hardest parts.
Domestics are tough. I mean, if you look at the statistics of it, I mean, they tend not to split up the first time an incident happens. Just for, say, like a female and a male, they're in a dating or in an intimate relationship. It usually takes about 4 or 5 times for the victim to finally leave. And most of the time, when we're called, it's not the victim or the suspect, it's a bystander observing all this, and they're the ones that usually call. The victim very rarely calls, which is unfortunate. But it's kind of tough because I know it won't be the last time I deal with them, and most of the time they get back together, and it's just a vicious cycle, and you want to just shake them and be like, this isn't a healthy relationship, you need to get help. And we give them all of the help that we possibly can. We have a detective who works specifically with domestic violence, so she'll always do a follow-up with the victim, give them any type of resource they need, whether it's a shelter or, you know, guidance, advice, anything that they need, we're there for them. Unfortunately, not a lot of people will take advantage of that, and we're usually over there again the following week. So it's kind of sad seeing it. Summer at Brattle.
With the one car, 106 Gardner Street for a domestic mother-daughter, 106 Gardner Street.
Roger. Okay.
51 is responding. 1067. One has them covered missing.
So that domestic between mother and daughter, the daughter got arrested, so she's gonna be brought in right now to be booked. It's kind of tough with parents and their children. The parents don't want to see their children get arrested or get in trouble. They don't want their children to have a record, but they usually endure a lot of abuse before police are actually called. It's kind of tough because, you know, it is her child, but her child's putting her in fear every day, and that's not right. I mean, I don't care who you are, it's your constitutional right to feel safe wherever you live. And if she doesn't feel safe, I mean, even though it's her daughter, she has to make sure that whenever she wakes up, she feels okay. We tend to push them to get a restraining order, that way the daughter can't come back and the daughter can go get help. But most parents won't do that because they don't want to be out of their child's life. They want to keep helping, but in the end, it's kind of like they're enabling them. So I'm sure that's not the first time we've been down there for those two, and I guarantee you it won't be the last. I don't think she's gonna get a restraining order. I think she's gonna keep trying to get her daughter help, but I don't think the daughter's gonna be willingly getting help anytime soon. But it's all right. If they call, we come. Doesn't matter how many times.
Control 6, 5, and 4. 17 Hillside. Multiple assaults on the second floor. Unknown if any weapons are involved. She's checking now. 6, you said 17 Hillside? I won't confirm on.
That is. That call they're going to is back up at Jermaine Lawrence. Same call we went up to earlier, but apparently there's a fight in the dormitory between two girls. But we're gonna float up to the heights. They already sent Sector 6, Sector 5, and Sector 4, as well as the patrol supervisor. So you have four officers going already. You know, sometimes, you know, the old adage, you know, you don't want to overwhelm people. Right. Sometimes it's better to not have, 15 cops go running in there than not. So basically all our heights cars are going. You can hear one of them leaving the station. They'll probably go by us on Mass Ave in a second. There they go.
8 to 10, 6, 7.
Answering, sir.
Take the east end and go further.
Roger. So, because today's been a little bit crazy, we don't have a lot of units available. Because 2 had to take that juvenile that we arrested earlier down to court. So that's 2 units. And then Sector 1's tied up right now with this domestic. And then we have another cruiser that took the female down to be arrested into booking. So there's really only a few units on the road right now. So that was my sergeant, and he was just telling me to stay in this area because the other unit's up in the heights. So we're just gonna hang out in the east end until a couple units are able to clear.
I mean, we're a pretty tight-knit group, which is good. You know, there's 45 patrolmen in our union, plus, our 13 supervisors. We're pretty tight-knit, so, I feel like we do a good job, keeping an eye out for each other. And if something does arise or something does come up or somebody does seem to be having a stressful time.
All traffic, you in the heights.
Traffic, I'm Mass at Linwood. I can head up to the heights.
3-1 Indian Hill Road for the rescue call, diabetic problem.
31 Indian Hill, Roger. Is that up in Almont Village?
That's correct.
Roger that. The ambulance is probably already on its way. We get dispatched to any medical, a fire engine, an ambulance, and a police officer. We get dispatched everywhere. The firefighters are probably asleep right now. So they just got woken up, and they have to put their shoes on and pants on and get down to the rescue, get into the fire engine and get there. Whereas they're at the firehouse. So, I mean, a lot of times we beat them there. A lot of the times, if it's not a serious medical, I'll just try to help out by getting some personal information, stuff like that. Talk to the person, try to calm them down. Just wait till the ambulance or whatnot gets there. We have had times, with police officers, you're the first one there, and we've had guys, start CPR, use the defibrillator to shock people back to life. You know, fires a lot of times, whether we've had people, you know, carry people out of burning houses. So, you know, maybe 90% of the time, you know, we may not be needed on a medical, but that 10% of the time that we are needed, you know, it's good that they send us. I said, well, yeah, fire's already inside. Paramedics from Armstrong are inside, and ambulance is arriving shortly, so. They'll take over care of the scene, anything that needs to be done. You know, at this point, you know, we're not really needed here. We offer any services we can, but you know, in a case like this, you know, once they're already here, they're a lot more medically trained than we are. You know, so if they had a forced entry, sometimes we'll get a medical where, you know, the person calls and they can't get up, they fell or something, they have a phone. You know, we'll be there for that. You know, if they have to break down a door, break a window or whatever, you know, we're there with them to, you know, make sure the scene's safe and everything. You know, it looks like in here, it looks like the whole family's home, so. But if it's, you know, an elderly party or someone that lives alone and they're getting transported, the police officers will, you know, make sure when they leave that, you know, all the doors are locked. You know, the house is secured, everything like that. So if there's any pets in the house, or that's kind of where we'll take over. We'll clear, get out of here, and you know, the family members and stuff here, they're all set with the house and everything. Traffic control. Clear Indian Hill. Arlington Rescue is going to be preparing transport.
Yeah, I mean, this job it's very stressful, but it's fun. It's weird. It's kind of like an oxymoron, you know? If I talk to another cop, we'll talk about how much, you know, the day, like, wasn't fun, it was stupid, or, you know, it sucked, like, how much this job takes a toll on you. But if a civilian asks us, like, do you like your job? I'm like, I love it. Because it really is the best job in the world. You get to help people, and you get to see, like, a lot of stuff that nobody else sees. So you get firsthand, like, you're the first person on scene. So you get to see a lot of crazy things, which is cool. Like, it makes your life exciting, but it can be scary at times too, so.
We'd like to thank Officer Scarbo for showing us around Arlington and the police department. For Arlington Public News, I'm Sarah Weber.